Look, I want to start off by saying I love Payday 3. I really, really do. And despite its shortcomings and bizarre design choices, I've spent hundreds of hours playing this game. But despite how much you or I love it, there's still a very, very big problem possibly heading our way. Payday 3 has struggled to maintain a solid player base since its launch. We saw 70,000 people play the game on Steam at the exact same time and maintain around 20,000 players in September when it came out last year. So no surprise though, those player numbers dropped massively to only 6k in October of 2023. That is an 80% drop in players in just 1 month alone. It is so rare for a AAA game to have numbers drop that significantly that quickly. I, like a few diehard Payday fans, actually carried on playing the game, but I was always met with this feeling of just disappointment knowing that this game could have been so much better and actually felt like a true sequel to Payday 2. And I'm also confident that people who carried on playing felt this way. But let's get on to the big problem I wanted to talk about in this video. Now, we already know year 2 is happening. While we haven't got a roadmap, this tweet from the Payday account talking about stepping into year 2 kind of confirms it's going to be happening. But let's look at the facts here. Payday has been bleeding out with insanely low player counts, and it makes you sit here and question Payday's future. Now, the devs have been quick to tell us that Payday 3 isn't going anywhere, but really, let's think about it. The game's been on its knees throughout this year, and while we've seen an increase in players recently, it's only been in the hundreds, and that's still nowhere near enough to keep Payday 3 a long-lasting game. It's not a secret that Payday 3 needs to make money for Starbreeze to keep pushing updates and content out the door, and we also know that Starbreeze hasn't been in the best position financially since Payday 3 launched. But realistically here, let's say we get a little bit more down the line, let's say 2, 3, 4 months. By that time, we'll most likely have the roadmap for year 2, which will be cool, might feature a few DLCs, but what if those player counts don't increase substantially? Right now, for the past 4 months, we've seen Payday go up by 200, 222, and a few other spikes here and there, but it's not in the thousands. It's not enough for them to be making all that money back that they've probably lost from the game and launching it and its development and all these different types of things. So with the release of the new DLC coming out tomorrow, what will that be like? We might get some players coming back. We might get possibly the biggest increase we've seen in players in the past few months. There might be 400 or 500, which will be double what we got in the one of the months a few months ago. But again, it keeps bringing us back to what's going to happen, because that's not enough players. The game is rarely pushing 1,000, and sometimes it actually does reach over 1,000. But just how many thousands will we need to see increase in players for Payday 3 to become, well, worth it for Starbreeze? It's questionable now if they even say it's worth it right now. Maybe they're pushing that last bit of content out the door. They've not given us a roadmap for year 2 yet, which is, I guess, kind of worrying. They gave us the roadmap for year 1. Before, I don't know if it was before Payday launched or right after it launched last year. So it would be around now, or maybe in like a month when we would be receiving the roadmap for year 2. Maybe we'll get it after the update in October, the part 2 to the anniversary update. But I guess we will really see just how much love and care and support is really going to go into year 2 once we get that roadmap. Because it could be that Starbreeze has seen Payday 3 fail in literally every way and been like, look, okay, we can give you a few more DLCs, but after that, if it doesn't increase, that's it. Like, we're shutting the game off. Like, you can keep playing, but we're not making more content. It's not worth it for us. Who knows? They might get back to Payday 2. But again, the question here is what is Payday 3's future? Right now, it's completely undecided. None of us know. We can sit here and speculate, just like I'm doing, to be fair. But let's look at the facts. The player counts, the reviews from Xbox and PlayStation and PC, they've been on the rise, but it's not substantial. And maybe it's not enough for Starbreeze. Well, it's obvious it's not enough. It's a AAA game we're looking at here. I mean, look at Concord. That game launched and had like 600 players and averaged like 400, 300, and then got shut off. So they knew there and then that the game wasn't going to be successful. They just shut it off and gave it up. But Starbreeze aren't going to shut it off and give it up yet. They know Payday is their biggest seller. They know it's their biggest franchise they've ever had. They're not going to just give up. But after a few years of continuous game support, what will they do? if we don't see the increase in player counts, they won't see an increase in game sales or DLC sales or weapon packs or whatever. So therefore, they're not going to make any money on the game. They'll just have that cult following, which is a few hundred, a few thousand of us, if you combine all the platforms, playing the game every day, buying the DLCs when they come out. But that might not be enough. They're going to need to have a lot more players in order for it to actually be enough for them to carry on, well, supporting the game. Now, I can imagine Starbreeze is banking on Payday 3 becoming more successful after these DLCs launch. Because again, if we've had Boys in Blue, we've had Syntax Error, this isn't in order by the way, and we've had Houston Breakout, we've had these DLCs, and admittedly, I like all of them. And we've actually seen a player count with Boys in Blue and Houston Breakout. We've seen quite a player count increase on Steam alone. Again, like 200, another 200, a few hundred after that, with the DLCs, but with the new one that's coming out, we're most likely going to see the same thing again. But the question is will they stick around? Are they going to stick around for the rest of the content? Are they going to see Payday 3 as just a hollow shell? It's empty, and while the game might look nice and shiny because, you know, oh, it's Payday, but on a newer engine and more updated, it's empty, and it lacks soul and replayability and just general fun to it. And then they might just leave. And then there you go. We've lost another few hundred players. We're back to 1,000. We're back to 700. And here we are again. Let's do this again. So let's release another DLC. Starbreeze banks from the players increasing again. That could happen. We may see 40% of those players that came back leave. While that's still an increase, it'll most likely be only a few hundred. Now, again, Starbreeze aren't going to be doing this for years where they only get like a few hundred players come back every DLC, because it'll take 7 years for them to reach 5k, 6k, 7k, and maybe even 10k on Steam alone, which again isn't enough. Now, admittedly, I don't have access to Xbox or PlayStation player counts, but I genuinely don't think it's much better than Steam at all. Maybe you're looking at a few thousand if you combine the platforms. Most of the players were on Game Pass for Xbox, and with the Game Pass thing now going away, I think it might actually be gone today, or is it in a few days? I'm not too sure. That's going to see a big drop in players. I think it was the wrong move for Starbreeze to take Payday off Game Pass. I've seen that as like a heavily debated topic recently. Like, you shouldn't buy DLCs for games that you don't own anyway. So that's silly. But some people do own DLCs in Payday because they play it through Game Pass and they thought, I'll spend the £10, I'll spend the $10 and buy a DLC and, you know, play the heist. But they won't buy the game yet because they don't think it's worth it. In fact, in my recent review, I said while the game has been on the up and the updates have been pretty good, the new content has been pretty nice, I did suggest to leave the game alone. Don't buy it. If you can find it on a sale, great. But don't buy it at full price because it's not worth it yet. And I had a few commenters say the exact same thing. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to close it off here in just a minute, but looking back on everything I've said, it's a very important and big problem that could be heading our way, because right now, Payday's in kind of a comfortable position. I'm sure the devs are happy that it's seeing an increase in players every now and then, and people are coming back, and we're most likely going to see an increase tomorrow, so that'll be kind of exciting. Again, we have that thought in our minds of what is the future like in a year or in 2 years? Are we going to see a substantial increase? Is it going to be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? What if it isn't? What will happen to the franchise that we love? You know, Payday the Heist and Payday 2 were successful. What's going to happen to Payday 3? You know, it might drop them, but we've seen it before. Payday 2's dropped them players and it's brought them back, and, you know, it's still popular now, but Payday 3 did, in my opinion, irreparable damage to the Payday name itself. So it's questionable whether anybody who, you know, were kind of eyeing it up at launch would ever eye it up again and maybe come back. But I'm excited for Payday's future because I think this game may succeed. I love the new DLCs and I'm so excited for tomorrow. I cannot wait. I'm a Gold Edition owner, so I'll get it anyway. So I'm even more excited for that. I don't have to buy it. But, you know, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. You know, support Payday only if you want to. Only if you feel it's worth it. Don't buy the game with the hopes that it will increase in a year or in 2 years, because there's no guarantee it will be here in that time. Buy it when you want and support what you want to support. Payday, in my opinion, right now is on the rise, but it may not be enough to save the game from this kind of doom that it could be heading towards. And that really concludes today's worry video. It's a worrying topic. It's a negative video, I know. But I say this as somebody who loves Payday, who's been around for a long time playing this game since I was a kid. You know, I'm 19 now, so I was young when Payday, the heist or Payday 2 came out, and I remember playing the demo on the 360 when I was so young with my friends because it had multiplayer. It was really, really fun. So I've loved Payday pretty much, more than probably half my life at this point. But I want the game to succeed. I really do. But I want people to know the worries that are out there, and I want people to realize that, like, Payday's future isn't guaranteed. You know what I mean? But anyway, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.